Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a phenomenal game. I cannot recommend it highly enough, and every opportunity that I get whenever I'm talking about, well, basically anything on the channel, I find a way to work it in. I love it that much. At time of recording, I am within striking distance of the end of my hard mode playthrough, and I'm enjoying it just as much as the original. And a lot of the criticisms that people have, it's kind of interesting, right? Because my hard mode playthrough has been, I've done all of these side quests beforehand, and now it's just basically streamlining the story. And it's a very different experience than the first time through. I think my hard mode run, it's tough to say really, because I'm not skipping any of the cutscenes or anything like that. It's probably, I'd have to say, about a 20-hour experience so far. There's been a couple of bosses that have given me a bit of a problem, but otherwise, as long as you're familiar with the mechanics, it's pretty smooth sailing. It's a lot of fun, and I do highly recommend a hard mode playthrough if you find the game compelling, which everybody who has played it has found it compelling. I mean, it's one of the best reviewed, both from the critics, which I don't really care that much about, and then from the audience, overwhelming non-meme support. And just about every single day since that exclusivity window came up at the end of May, I've been looking for any and all information regarding a PC port because, brother, I want to play this game completely and totally over again. I want to play it on PC where I can have certain things modded in regards to certain characters that you get control of temporarily. Don't want to spoil anything until I do a big review at the end of the year, and then also get some get some gameplay. I can screen cap it myself because I think this game is phenomenal. And part 3, I've been theory crafting ever since I completed my initial and original playthrough back in, what was that, late April or something like that? Not a day has gone by that I haven't thought about this game. This is how great it is, okay? 2024 is the year of Rebirth, at least for me. But I kind of think that we aren't going to get an announcement on a PC port until the end of August at Gamescom or the end of September at Tokyo Game Show, meaning that my prognostication that either the end of the year or the beginning of 2025, because we still don't have any information on a PC port for Final Fantasy 16, meaning that that could end up dropping before the end of the year, pushing Rebirth's PC release. If they have any exclusivity deals that are still outstanding with Epic Game Store that they'd have to fulfill, or maybe they're trying to figure that stuff out. But regardless, we're going to be getting something like that in the near future. I just hope that it's sooner rather than later, because part 3, let's be honest, okay, it's still going to be a few years down the line, okay? Final Fantasy VII has an anniversary date coming out in 2027. That seems awfully likely that we're going to end up getting the game drop then, which I'm not exactly all that enthusiastic about, but it would kind of make sense because we're hearing a lot of stuff about the development of that game, which I think, and you can mark me down on this, I think is going to be called Reclaim for many reasons that game itself makes, very, very clear, as well as some, greater compilation of Final Fantasy VII reasons, but I will get into that once I do my review on that. This right here is to just simply talk about the news surrounding the game and then also, well, the title of the video itself. So let's just go over this real quick because, I want to talk about it. In a clip shared by the Q&A attendee, Windermere, Rebirth co-director Motomu Toriyama says via an interpreter that the third and final part of the remake trilogy will answer all of the mysteries left behind by Rebirth. And if you're familiar with the ending, I know that there are some brainlets that are out there that have some very wonky takes, or maybe just try to dismiss the greatness of this game because they didn't like what happened at the end. Spoiler, I love the ending, but that's the only spoiler that I'm going to give. Obviously, review the big long theory crafting section of that all in good time. It's actually doing things that other IPs and other franchises attempt to do, but do it incredibly poorly. This time around, though, got people that have been gestating on these ideas since at least the midpoint of the 2000s, because Nomura Kitase and Nojima wanted to do this remake, back during the PS3 boom, okay? But anyways, yeah, and ultimately wrap things up in an even better ending than the classic JRPG. Ooh, that's interesting, right? Because the ending of the original, it's pretty good. It was pretty divisive at the time, mostly because there were some things that were left open-ended, but if they really want to tie this stuff up in just a nice little neat bow, for as much as I love Rebirth, the potentiality of Part 3 to be the most epic game, for it to deliver the most satisfying payoffs, I don't think that there's a game that's out there that has ever had so much potential. I also don't think that there is a game that has had such a consistent development team behind it quite like this endeavor, this is a special trilogy of games. Yeah, whether this means we can expect some changes from those final moments or simply look forward to the recreation of current gen visuals, and voice acting isn't clear. The voice acting is superb, outside of a couple of nitpicks. Like, I think it's just some of the best ever. But either way, it sounds like Square Enix is planning to elevate things to the next level. During this point, Toriyama said that he wishes to add more exploration in the third Final Fantasy VII Reclaim, Part 3. And also want to do his best to give the final game a satisfying ending that is even better than the original. Yeah, more exploration. Well, if you're just going to go ahead and draw the parallels to the OG, you're going to have a sub, okay? You're going to have a gold chocobo. You're also going to have additional land masses that weren't present in Rebirth. That's as far as I'll go if you're unfamiliar with that stuff. Oh yeah, and you're going to get this weird thing called an airship. Now, there's going to be a lot of exploration, a lot of different methods of exploration. Like, I'm super hyped. Like I said, man, there's the potential of this being the most epic, satisfying, and crazy video game, which, you know what? I really think that they can deliver on, because what they did with Rebirth, it's something special. And the people that have played it understand that and realize that as well, because all of the criticism that I've seen, at least the vast majority of it, I'm sure that there's some people that are out there that don't like the gameplay. Most of the critiques are about the story and the changes, because there's still some people that just want a one-to-one remake of the original, which go ahead and download the Seventh Heaven mod, which I got to go back and I got to run through my own personal playthrough of the OG before I do a review of it. Rebirth, I'm talking, because I want to get all of my references. I want to cross my T's and dot my I's. This is going to be a huge undertaking, but I want to get it right. But yeah, the Seventh Heaven mod manager, this isn't like back in the cut where you had to make an artificial disk drive in order to attach your Steam purchase in order to play it, and then mod it over top of it to just get reskins. No, it's as simple as downloading a mod manager, verifying your purchase, and then just doing whatever in the blue hell you want with it. You can make it a 60 FPS game. You can put in all the gameplay tweaks that you want. You can make it 16:9. Like, there's so many different things for free that the fans have done. All you need to do is pick up a copy of the game on Steam. Hell, wait until the summer sale rolls around. You can probably get it for like $5, and you give yourself right there, depending on the different mods that you put, hundreds of hours of content. Or of course, if you're a PC gamer and haven't got around to getting a PS5, which buying a PS5 for this game, I did it. I'm not sorry about it. Time well spent. It has given me hundreds of hours of enjoyment. Literally, I just crossed 200 hours not that long ago. But for your average person that probably has a well-rounded life, and that's legitimately the only entertainment thing that you bought in years at this point, buyer beware, I suppose. And that's also a big reason behind that there were all of those reports in regards to, oh yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's a great game and all that stuff, but it's just not selling, okay? Squaresoft admits that, it's not Squaresoft anymore, that's just an old head talking, but Square Enix admits that, the sales are lagging, it's behind 16, it's behind Remake, oh yeah, everything's all dire and done and dusted. What happened? Well, it's the PS5, man. PS5 isn't a banger console like the PS4 was, which really wasn't all that great to begin with. The install base is much smaller. It's home to precisely 0 games, and the overall perception of the AAA market is, well, you really need me to drive that home. It has a lot of negatives working against it, on top of Square Enix not exactly being in the best position. Okay, it's more recent releases that are not the Japanese-centric releases have kind of tainted the brand in general. Yeah, people kind of backed off of the game. But how bad were the sales? Because we were just told, oh, Square Enix doesn't like it. And it's like, okay, cool. And then we had this list come out that cataloged everything that released from the beginning of the year through the first quarter, okay, through the first week of May. And well, obviously you have the phenomenon that was Helldivers. They're still, hanging on a little bit. Call of Duty, of course, second best-selling game, okay, and then you have Dragon's Dogma, keep that one in mind. And then you have Rebirth in there at 5, and then you have Tekken in there at 6. And well, just me sleuthing around, I want to figure out, okay, because there's no numbers that are on there, and Helldivers, I think the last time we heard, ended up having something like 8 million, 10 million. I don't even know, man. Congratulations on all your success, and you're letting your community managers rot away all of the good work that you've done. But there are a couple of other notable inclusions on this list that we can go ahead and try to assess where exactly Rebirth is falling on this list. First and foremost, well, we got sales data from Capcom specifically, specifically about Dragon's Dogma 2 selling 2.5 million units. Okay, so they sold 2.5 million units worldwide, leading to that position of them being at number 3 on the year, which is, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then we have Bandai Namco. We got Tekken 8 selling 2 million copies. Okay, going back to that list right there. And that is just below Rebirth. Okay, so Rebirth, below Dragon's Dogma, above Tekken 8, and you have Tekken 8 celebrating its success at 2 million units, and then we have Dragon's Dogma celebrating their 2.5 million units, meaning that this is once again another one of those situations where Square Enix has these lofty goals that is never realistic, especially when you're exclusive to one platform, meaning that I'm hoping that they expedite that PC port, not at the compromising of its quality or anything like that, but to just simply rectify and clarify the record, because there are some idiots that are out there, man, okay? Idiots that when I was looking for any news on a potential PC port, okay, I stumbled across this article, a top 10 article, something that BuzzFeed would have published back in the cut, but perhaps it would have been a little bit more coherent, because this right here, oof, boy, I've read a fair few of those stupid clickbait top 10 you won't believe what they look like now articles, and some of them are misleading, some of them are bad. I've never seen something this disconnected from reality. And if more people had access to Rebirth, they'd be able to look at this article and go, this is stupid, this is trash, what the hell are you guys doing? But because people don't have first-hand knowledge, they can't debunk this nonsense. So let's take a few minutes to just run through this top 10, because it was nauseating, if we're being honest. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the midpoint of a remake trilogy. Well, yeah, no, that's normally how it works when it comes in threes. This means the developers had to make hard choices about the story elements and content would be cut and what would be left for the final entry or removed entirely. And yeah, if there's to be a critique of the game, which I don't have a problem with, and even with running through and just beelining the main story, I don't really have a problem with the pacing, but I've heard people complain about the pacing, how there's just a big old lore dump, and that there's so much plot at the end of the game. Could you have spaced it out a little bit better? Yeah, that probably wouldn't have been bad, but they're also running this very, very faithful to the original, and well, if you know anything about the OG game from 97, it's following it one for one, at least when it comes to the story beat. And given how they're breaking up this trilogy, yeah, the part 3 is going to be really heavy on plot, just like Disc 2 and Disc 3 are from the original. I guess that's kind of a spoiler as to when the game ends, I guess. For those who have finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth can attest to how much content the game has. Yes, almost all of the content from Final Fantasy VII first disc is here. Yeah, from the moment you leave, no, it's all there. That's literally all there, alongside a ton of new characters and quests to complete. Ton of new characters? And that being said, there are times when the developers could have prioritized more mainline content over side quests. No. They prioritize side quests and they prioritized mainline content. Okay, this is an incredibly high quality game where nothing is thrown on slapdash. Everything was given its proper time to cook. You might not like it. It might be an aspect, it might be a mini game that doesn't necessarily gel with your gaming sensibilities, but you can't say that it was poorly constructed. There's some things that I don't necessarily like, but I don't necessarily say that they were undercooked. This both applies to gameplay and story. Gameplay, no. There's outside of one chapter, one half of one chapter, where this shit's a little bit outdated and a little bit cumbersome. It's a movement mechanic, okay, to be as vague as possible. But the gameplay still, that's fantastic. It's top tier. That's what makes you come back to this game. And the story, okay. There are a lot of things that could have been done better. There's a lot of things No, there's things that could have been done better. There's some theories that you can put out there that might have made this better. But if I was to just simply re-roll this and give the creative team, even this creative team, another kick at the cat, I don't think that they could have done it better. Or at least I wouldn't take the chance that they could do this better. These are the elements from Rebirth that were either undercooked or needed expansions on, or are parts of the original game that should have been incorporated in the remake trilogy. Oh boy, here's where the stupidity begins. So, number 6, I'm sorry. I seen Sid, and then I just thought 6. But number 10, Sid and Vincent not being playable. Yeah, it's almost like you understand it's a trilogy, and that you need a new gameplay mechanic for your third game. Yeah, I wonder if his complaint about, Remake back in 2020 was, why isn't Red 13 playable? Well, I don't know. He shows up in what, the penultimate chapter? And it's almost like neither Sid nor Vincent are propositioned to be active combatants during the late stages of the game. If you're talking about poor pacing, which is, that's the big criticism of people out there, by just simply lopping on two different playstyles on top of that right towards the end of the game, yeah, would have heard a hell of a lot more critique. So no, just simply waiting until the next game to introduce those characters, I think that's probably fine and gives you a reason to look forward to on top of several other things. Play probably one of the most popular characters outside of the Avalanche trio in Vincent, and then just, the ever fun gameplay loop of a Dragoon and Sid. Like, that's going to be great. It makes sense for Red 13 not to be playable in Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm sorry, what? When he was introduced basically the exact same way and at the exact same time in the story that Vincent was, at the exact same time when Sid became much more interwoven with the party? How can you say... See, this is why I said this was one of the worst articles I've ever read, considering he's introduced at the end of the game. I mean, what's baffling is why Sid and Vincent are playable in Rebirth. While the announcement was made that they wouldn't be party members, many assumed that they would have had diminished roles in the story, which, without getting into too many spoilers, one of the characters very much is a part of the story, which kind of leads me to believe, kind of like how Red 13 right at the beginning of Rebirth is not really a spoiler because it's been the first 2 hours of gameplay. He officially joins the team, which is exactly a one-to-one of the original. It's just it's going to be a little bit different this time around because I think one of the characters is going to be just right in the party right within the first couple of hours. Which one is that? Don't know for sure. I have my ideas. Like I said, a lot of theory crafting. But anyways, they deserve more screen time than Kate Sith did, that's just a bad that's a bad take because Kate Sith, especially in Act 3 of the story, is very important. Anyways, cutting Rocket Town and Bone Village. Yeah, it's almost like you need a starting point and you need a starting area for Reclaim. And I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler. They kind of reworked, well, they did rework some prominent locations that would be in the later game of Rebirth, and reworked some, very, very little of the world map, meaning that Bone Village probably just got displaced, done away with. Like, I'm very certain it's going to be there. It's just, when you're planning things out as a trilogy, certain gameplay mechanics that you need to introduce people to the mechanics of the game, and yeah, these smaller, less plot intense aspects of the game, yeah, that's a perfect place to introduce you to a bunch of different mechanics. So that's interesting. Final Fantasy VII, after Nibelheim, the player visits Rocket Town, yes, which is home to Shinra rocket ship there. Yeah, which is also kind of interesting, right? Because it's just kind of a quick pit stop over to just acquire Sid. This is back in the original. And then all of the lore and all of the story-heavy stuff kind of happens on your return to Rocket Town later in Disc 2. So I'm kind of thinking, when Rocket Town eventually does make its return, because it's very important to something that is definitely going to be a part of the third game. So yeah, it's very much going to be in the game. It just ended up getting pushed back. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, to a lesser extent, we also have the absence of Bone Village. Yeah, with not a major location in the original Final Fantasy VII, it is a place primed for a digging minigame, which have gelled perfectly with the new Chocobo treasure hunting mechanics of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yeah, it's almost like they want to build on something and use that mechanic and flush it out even further in another area that you would have complained about if it would have been a part of this game as just being overstuffed with additional side quests. Number 8, cutting major enemies and bosses from Final Fantasy VII. Which ones? Okay, because, the original is a game that I played a lot. Not my favorite Final Fantasy, okay? My top 5, but not my top 3. Actually, no, maybe it is my third favorite that I think about. Yeah, yeah, it's my third favorite Final Fantasy. But major enemies and bosses? I mean, you're just wrong. You're just wrong if you think that that's the case, but okay. Rebirth, yeah, brought most of the bosses from the original game back. There were a few that didn't make the cut. These include the Heavy Tank, which is a Triceratops tank hybrid. Oh, that's the Tank Ceratops, and yeah, it actually is in the game. It is in the game in the form of the, Raphalos or something like that. There's a big kind of rhinoceros-looking character, which, yeah, in the Japanese translation, its name is actually a one-to-one to what the Tank Ceratops enemy was back in the original Final Fantasy VII, so you're just wrong on that one. And the Ajiro Felgo enemy from the Shinra Mansion. I think that's the guy that's on the scythe, and yeah, no, he's not there, but it's a major enemy. I mean, he was just kind of a goofy enemy that was there. Not saying that he can't be a part of a cave that'll be important to a side quest or maybe a main story quest or a dungeon specific to one of the new characters for the third game. I'm just saying, man. But yeah, there's a chance that the heavy tank enemy could appear in the final game, as a Shinra Corporation or Don Corneo could dump it into the party for a new boss segment. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, here's the things that they could be doing, but they didn't do it, so that means it's bad. Holy shit, man. Not exploring, oh my god, not exploring fan theories. What the fuck? Yo, this is just dumb, man. And spoilers, yeah, they're going to be doing Knights of the Round because Naoki Hamaguchi, the director of the game, was already talking about, how cool it's going to be, to do more with Knights of the Round in the third game. So yeah, KOTOR's going to be around. And yeah, if there's a fan theory that, KOTOR was assembled to, etc., defeat Genova back 2,000 years ago when she landed on the planet. I mean, I think we're going to kind of figure that out because there's still some unresolved lore, especially with one of the other mini games as a part of this game. Like, it's so fantastic to see everything so interconnected where, yeah, you're going to understand that there was a war that was waged back in the cut and that Knights of the Round could have very much been a part of that. But no, this guy just wants, instant gratification. He doesn't want long-term storytelling. Toning down Kate Sith's betrayal and kidnapping Marlene. Yeah, here's the thing, man. Kate Sith and Yuffie were the worst parts of original Final Fantasy VII. They were the least liked characters. They were the people that were never in anybody's party. Okay? Unless you were trying to steal or morph something in regards to Yuffie. Like hell, when I was first playing through on the first couple of my playthroughs, I never got Yuffie. And Kate Sith, too goofy to be part of the party. Okay? For me, it was I think Cloud, Vincent, and Red. That's pretty much my party running through the game, once you got them. And Kate Sith's betrayal and having somebody kidnap Marlene, just like, okay, how does Kate Sith know where Marlene is? That's one thing, to get her hands on her. Okay, that's one thing. And then why does the party continue to keep Kate Sith along after the betrayal is carried out in the original? That's kind of a plot hole. Okay, that's kind of a problem with the original. What they do in Rebirth is 1,000 times better. They do this weird thing called making Kate Sith incredibly likable, giving him an arc. It's tremendous. They make the betrayal more believable and more practical. Like, I can't say that, you're not big mad that this big contrivance in order to make a trek to the Temple of the Ancients happen, you think that the original is better. No. Rebirth is 1,000,000 times better. But yeah, there's a problem with the developers went a little bit too far in making him nice. Yeah, making him relatable, and then even making the conclusion to his betrayal kind of hit you in the heartstrings. Like, it's amazing what they did. But no. You make a character that's in your party for the rest of the game too likable by making him not kidnap a kid in order to force the rest of the party to do what he has to do. It's really weird. Okay, that's a strange complaint. But diminishing Sephiroth's, power in the prologue or the demo if you played that. What the fuck are you talking? Did you experience his gameplay? Like, he has busted amounts of materia, okay? Even just his gameplay style in general. Like, there's a thing where, okay, you can just dodge out of the way and then press triangle, dodge again, and you can just, with this huge radius attack, just yeet everything at an arm's length away. It does massive damage. It's completely free. And then even just his X attack, his square attack, his regular attack, busted because he has more reach than everybody in the game. Diminishing his power? What the hell are you talking about? You only get to use Sephiroth in your party during a few battles in Final Fantasy VII, but he leaves a huge impression. Yes, any monster that attacks you during the Nibelheim flashback gets utterly annihilated by Sephiroth, which he kind of does too in Rebirth as well, but okay. Either due to his overwhelming strength or his access to high-level spells. I mean, 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Rebirth also gives you control of Sephiroth during the Nibelheim flashback. He's a total wimp by comparison. I mean, you're just wrong. Unless you're bad at playing the game. I don't mean to sound like an elitist, but he has twice as much everything than Cloud does. Twice as much health, twice as much material, twice as much attack. His gameplay is completely busted. It's like he's better in every single sense of the word. You can solo the boss at the end. Yeah, the mighty Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII has been replaced with just another character. Yeah, with a unique gameplay style and feeling having a legendary warrior on your side is gone. So, I can't tell you that your feelings are wrong, but your assessment of empirical facts is just, it's strictly incorrect. If you want to say that he's a wimp when he's just categorically better in every form or fashion, I don't know what to tell you. And then number 4 here you have, it's like, we need more fan theories. The Turks VR missions missed a chance to use before Crisis characters. Yeah, you were complaining about convoluted plot and introducing a bunch of like really bad characters. Okay, not to mention that they did end up bringing in an additional Turk as well. An additional former Turk, that is. Well, I guess 2 technically with Vincent. But you're mad that these bad and forgotten characters weren't introduced and brought into an otherwise great game. Yeah, it's a weird one. Okay, saving Biggs and doing nothing with him. I mean, without spoiling anything, he's very important to somebody's story. Okay, I don't want to get into it because that right there is a spoiler in and of itself. And it's wrong because they do something with him. Yeah, do. I'm going to see if I can phrase this appropriately without, spoiling too much. He introduces a character to the idea that there are worlds out there, multiple worlds. And he's not a main character, by the way. He's a tertiary character. So I don't really know if you wanted like him to take out an entire platoon of Shinra soldiers or what exactly. Yeah, so developers, thought he had big plans in the next game. Yeah, only to just once again show, and I don't want to get too much into it, but he's used to introduce concepts and then to also reinforce other concepts. So you're just wrong again. Sorry. 0 for 7 so far. Then the same complaint here, bringing back Glenn Lodbrok and doing nothing with him. Did you finish the game? I'm just wondering, because his story, it's kind of strange to begin with, but he introduces a concept that has a very important payoff at the end of the game, okay? And he does nothing with him. Does nothing. He sets up a big plot point for the 3rd game, my friend. You're lying, or you're dumb, and you're wrong. And then finally, well, I guess this is kind of a spoiler, but not using Zack's fighting style from Crisis Core. Which, hey, you want to bring in completely and totally different mechanics for somebody that you can only use like a handful of battles for? Do you want to throw in gacha style gameplay? Do you want to just simply dismiss that Zack's fighting style is actually pretty cool, where they give him something a little bit unique in the form of charging attacks? They give him a different type of build meter. He's got frame perfect inputs that'll just give you an additional meter or faster build meter over the top of it. But no. Yeah, you want the DM or the DMW system where you just basically press a button that spends some money and then it just gives you different buffs, okay? Which is antithetical to the rest of the specialized gameplay that is, present in every other character. No. You just want inbuilt gambler materia that's just thrown over the top of it. Yeah, Zack has a new fighting style that is nowhere near as interesting as mashing attack, having a couple of programmable command buttons and a slot machine, having thoughtful tactical charge and gameplay content that's not nearly as engaging as a lottery system. This guy's an idiot. This was, like I said, man, one of the worst articles that I've seen in a while, and I just read it and it's like, well, either you're wrong on some of these issues and I disagree with you, or you're just flat out lying, because I've played this game. I've played a lot of this game this year. I love this game. And if there's anybody who might be approaching expert level when it comes to understanding and engaging it, Scott Baird, this is wrong. This is really bad. This is really bad. But the game is really good. So every opportunity that I get to talk about it, debunk some of the stupid criticisms on it, I'm going to take that opportunity to. And it especially, gives me good ammunition for when I eventually get that review out there. It's going to be a big boy. I'm planning on it, and I just need to figure out and need to start learning how to do editing and all that stuff. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.